Welcome back, and today we're going to take a look at the Aries Professional Line Flaring Toolkit for brake lines. And it's not an American-made tool, but it is a really good quality tool. It's made in Taiwan instead of China. The model number is 18012. Let's get into it. This is the Aries Professional Brake Flaring Tool, and I've already got it out of the box. And it comes with 4 dies, but I think there's a die on either side. Well, not that one. This one has it has a DIN fitting on one side and a regular 45-degree flare on the other side. This one's the same way. Has a 45-degree flare and a DIN. I think I got them mixed up. But the difference is this is a regular inverted brake line flare. I think there's all 45 degrees in this case. And then this is a DIN, a bubble flare that's for like European cars and things like that. I've never seen one on a vehicle that I've ever worked on, but everything I've seen has had these standard flares. Now these flares will work on metric. If you look at the machine itself, the tool, this one clips into a vise. It comes with the pull handle and all the hardware you need. And all you do is you take a piece of line, you fit it into this die, then you put the die into the tool. And we'll go through that when we get ready to set the line up. But it's really simple. It just takes a couple steps. And it does work in the vise, but it's hard to make these on the car. There's other tools for that you can make fittings on the car. I've not tried to use this on the vehicle, but I wouldn't think it worked very well. Now with this tool, I also bought a couple extra things. I bought this, I guess it's for cleaning out your flares. It's got a little blade on the inside of it. Eastwood sells all this stuff, but from what I can understand, this Aries and the Eastwood are pretty much the same kit. Now you can get a bigger kit with Eastwood. You can also get a hydraulic one, but that's pretty much what this comes with. It comes with the press and the die, and you got 4 dies. But stuff I bought extra, I bought this tool here for cleaning out your cut ends. I bought an extra cutter, even though I got drawers full of these cutters. I probably wouldn't be able to find one if I needed it, so I bought one of these. Eastwood sells one similar to this. The one that Eastwood sells like this is almost identical. It's basically the same tool. And of course you have to get, if you're gonna make your own lines, you gotta have the copper tube. That's NiCop, nickel copper. It bends real easy, doesn't rust real bad. I don't think it rusts at all. And then went to this company here, 4 Lifetime Lines, and they sell these assorted kits, which are kind of pricey, but they come with just about, now of course I've added some stuff to it. They come with just about every fitting that you need, metric and standard. Some of the late model stuff, even though it's got standard threads, has metric threads, but standard lines. So you can put all kinds of different stuff together with this kit. And I don't really have the dies to make the bigger lines, I don't believe. Maybe I do. I guess this will make, this is a 3/8, so you can make a 3/8, probably make a transmission line. And but there's another die that you have to have, and I don't have it in this kit, but there's another die that you can use where you can make what they call a push connect fitting for GM. I don't even know if this device will do it. So I'm not giving you very good information there, I don't know. But this comes with quite a bit. I've used a lot of fittings out of here. I redone all the brakes on the blue Chevrolet truck that we got. I've also added some stuff that I bought that I didn't think we had enough of. And got a little bit of everything in here. I got this little gas heater going. I had to get me a drink. That heater seems like it dries the air out in here. But something else I purchased separate was this. These have threads for inside and outside, I guess flare ends, these ends. So what I done was, here's the line I'm gonna reproduce. This is just something I bent up. It's a piece of the old steel line that you get from the store. And there's no problem with buying these steel lines. If you're just doing one line, by all means, go out to the store and buy some line. But because I'm just using this old piece here just to bend it up and show that you can actually make it yourself, it's a lot easier for me because, of course, I work on junk all the time, and you're all the time having to put new brake lines. About every car that you pick up, it needs some kind of brake lines. If you live in an area where we live, they use salt on the roads primarily in the wintertime. And the first thing to go are your fuel lines and your brake lines. So it doesn't hurt to have this stuff around to try to make it yourself. But let me get set up here and we'll see what we can come up with. First thing we need to do is figure out the length of the tubing that we need. And since we're going to base it on this piece right here, I've got a piece of just a lawnmower pull cord. That's the only string I can find around. I'm going to take this string and I'm going to follow this pipe with it. I'm just going to hold on to it as I go, keep a little bit of slack. Follow it around the bends, try to grab it at each bend. Grab it at this bend. And I'm going to come down here to the end and I'm going to make it probably about an extra inch. And probably need to make 2 because sometimes you mess up. And I'll show you what that's all about here in a minute. Now that I've got this marked, I'm going to find me a marker to mark this piece of string with real quick. I'm going to take this piece of 1/4 inch copper line, and this stuff's pretty easy to bend. You can kind of straighten it by hand. I'm going to get it as straight as I can to measure with my string, and then we'll bend it once we get our flares on it. Get this straightened out here. Bend's pretty easy. This stuff you can buy it by the roll. It's about $20 a roll. I think it's maybe 25 foot or something in a row. I got my string here. And there's my mark right there. And I've already made it a little bit longer. All I gotta do now is get my cutter on it. Turn it a little bit at a time as you rotate it. Just turn it a little bit tighter and eventually it'll snap off. Have to be careful with some of these. They'll walk right down your line and make like threads on it, and it's ruined that piece of tubing. Okay. Here's our piece that we need. And we're not going to bend this until we get the ends flared. Next thing you need to do, I've got this little tool here, and you can use, there's different tools for this. There's, I think there might even be a reamer on this. Maybe not. Usually they're right inside the cap. That's probably got an extra blade inside this cap. But this thing has a little point. You can push the point out if you want to. I think I got my camera turned sideways. That's what it looks like. Let me reposition this camera so it won't be sideways on the screen. Now we got the orientation locked. I can show you this has got a little tip you can run around. Don't do too much. The more you cut into it, the more likely it is to split when you're forming it. Just do it gently. Just to get all you're trying to do is get the burrs off. You really don't want no burrs inside of it. You can use both ends, inside and outside. That should be good for what we're doing. This is just demonstration. Next thing you need to do is find your fittings. And the way I've done that is let me get rid of this cord. I found the fitting on my little piece of measuring tools here. This says 7/16 by 24. And I can thread that right in there. So I need 2 7/16 by 24 flare nut fittings inside of my toolbox over here. I'll dig those out. Here's 2 7/16 by 24s. They're not as long, but they're the same thread. These are cheaper fittings, but they fit exactly the same. One thing to remember is always, you can do one end, but when you get that one end done, make sure you put these fittings on there oriented the right way and have them both on the tube, because heaven forbid you do it without it. You have to cut, that's why you make it a little long, because about half the time I end up having to cut the end off and doing it again because I forgot to put my fittings on. It happens. Now we've got the tool set up. Here's our dies. This says 45 degrees, and it says 1/4 inch line, and it also says 6.35 millimeter. It's hard to see. You want to make sure you don't use the DIN end. You want to use the flare, 45 degree flare fitting for brake lines, at least here. So what we're going to do is we're going to place this inside, just loosely. I'm going to set it down here inside of the tool. And that's something I forgot to mention. This dial has all these operating positions on it. That says operation 0, and that's where you start. And then we'll go to 1/4 inch, and we'll go to operation 1, and then we'll go to 1/4 inch, operation 2, and that should finish the process. But you always start at operation 0. Put the tubing in, close it up, and push your pin in. That locks your die down. First you got to do is hit this operation 0, and that'll push everything into the position it needs to be to start. Push it till the tool till it bottoms out, and then you can tighten this down. Tighten your die down. You got to get your die pretty snug. All right, we've started at operation 0. Now we need to go to 1/4 inch, operation 1. There it is, 1/4 inch, operation 1. That'll be our first move. This is in here secure. And I'm gonna move this handle and it'll press. Supposed to put a little dab of grease on it. I didn't want to get everything all greasy while I'm demonstrating here. Okay, that's 1/4 inch operation 1. And all that does is that makes a bubble flare on it. And then now you need to go to 1/4 inch operation 2, which is this one, and run it again until it bottoms out. Once you feel it bottom out, release it. Pull the pin, flip it over, take the top off. And there is your flare. It's good and clean. It doesn't have any burrs on the back side. Probably need a little grease in it because it does transfer a little bit of that metallic to it. But it doesn't hurt to have a little grease. It does have a point right here where this has a seam. I mean, it should seat okay because it's seating off this side. Let's put a fitting on. I run the fitting with the threads facing towards it, and it fits right up inside there perfectly. This should tighten up nicely and not have any problems at all. Now we got that fitting on. Always remember, put your fitting on the other side before you begin your next step. And then just repeat the process. I'm gonna run these fittings all the way down here. Put it back to 0. Operation 0. Make sure your flare is oriented the right way. Push that in until it bottoms out. See how it moved? I need to tighten it up slightly. Until it bottoms out, run this down. It's not that hard. It took me a little bit to get the process down, but I ain't that swoof sometimes. So I've got that in there pretty good, and I'm going to go ahead and straighten on this a little while I've got it in the vise. Okay. Now, operation 0, we've already done that. Go to operation 1, 1/4 inch, right here. And it bottoms out. I made a bubble. Let me show you what the bubble looks like. Well, I already showed you one. The first step always makes this first step always makes this bubble flare before it's inverted in on itself. When you go to step 2, it pushes it on in, does this inverted flare. So now we're going to go to step 2 of 1/4 inch. That's the orange one, next orange one. Run the flare in, it bottomed out. I'm going to set this back to 0. We've got another, it ain't perfect, but it'll work. So you run that up there. We've got both of our lines done. Now it's time to do our bends. There's several tools for making these bends. These are bending pliers. You could do little small bends with them. But I'm going to try to do this by hand. I'm just going to hold it right up to it. Make sure you keep your flares separated, because once you get it bent, they may not go back to the right spot. Make sure it's right length here. This stuff bends pretty easy, but it will kink if you're not careful. Let me move this out of the way. It's not too hard, just follow the pattern. You could clamp the ends together, make it a little easier. I'm just going to hold it. That's going to work pretty good. It's pretty close. Once you get it on the vehicle, you can tinker with it a little bit more. But you see what I'm talking about. It's pretty easy to manipulate. This one's close, but it's a little bit long. And you could, if you had to, you could cut it off. But it should get real close right there. And like I said, I don't mind having a little bit extra there. You can take it out in the bends as long as it's not rubbing against anything. The key is to make sure it's not rubbing against any other of the surfaces. But that's pretty simple. See, like I said, if you don't make sure your nuts are all the way down there where they go, they'll get up here and get stuck on the other side of one of these elbows, and you have to straighten it out to get it back down there. But that worked out pretty good. It's not beautiful, but it's not supposed to be. It's just a brake line. If you're doing a show car, you're probably going to use different kind of lines. And there's lots of people out there that make pre-bent tubing, but if you're doing like a custom hot rod that you're using mismatched parts from here and there, you're going to have to make some of your own lines. There's just nothing else to it. It's going to have to be done. And I don't mind doing it. I enjoy it. I enjoy fooling with this little tool. It's one of my favorite tools. I haven't used it much. I use it a lot on the blue truck, but I haven't used it a whole lot. It's pretty cool. As I said before, this is the Aries Professional Brake Line Flaring Toolkit. I mean, it does a lot of things. It doesn't do everything, but it does what you need to get by. And I believe there's other dies that you can get from Eastwood or Aries, either one, that will fit on here. You can get different types of dies. I mean, I don't know if this is called a die, but But you can also get these blocks. I think these are dies here, and I'm not sure what this little thing here is called. But you can get other ones to do different things. Really, all I really need is like a 3/16 and a quarter. I may use a 3/8 occasionally. I just put some transmission lines on one of the vehicles I was working on. I needed that, and I think that's about all I can do with this is just some brake lines and maybe some maybe a gas line or two, but not no push fit ones. But I bought a few things extra. These things I bought extra, and this little thing here, which has been handy. I've used this for everything. This has been one of the handiest tools, and it wasn't very expensive, like $7 or $8, and has all these different fitting sizes on it. The threads aren't perfect, but they'll help you determine a size. And this thing, this is probably the most priciest thing. I believe this thing was around $100, and it comes with all these fittings in it, and of course it comes with this assortment chart. It doesn't have a whole lot of 1/4 inch. That's the gray. It's got a lot of 3/16, but it's mainly designed, I guess, for brake lines. But it's really handy. It comes with all, you know, really good pictures, and they've also, this website here, For Lifetime Lines, you can get on there and you can order restock kits for these, and they come with all kinds of different little bags that you can fill these back up with. I think I've actually ordered some that's to restock with. And there's also some fittings where you can splice. This is the only way you splice a brake line. You don't use compression fittings on a brake line. You always use these style fittings that are made for flare nuts. And that one's got, I'm guessing that would work. It's got the flares inside, or the shoulders inside of it, so you can flare with it. And I don't know about these. These looks like bubble fittings or something for a bubble fitting. Those are inverted flares. And there, yeah, one's for a bubble. This one's for a bubble. That's for a bubble fitting, and this is an inverted flare. They look the same to me. So you have to really be careful which ones you use, because you can mess you up. But that's all I'm going to do on this little video. We've talked enough about this. It's a really cool tool. And if you're doing more than one brake line, it's probably worth the investment. I think this piece is less than $100. It's like 70 or 80 bucks, and it comes with the 4 sets of dies. And this thing, I think, is around $100. You don't have to buy this kit. The brake lines that I ordered, when these come, I think I've got one that's not opened here. Sometimes when these lines come in the mail, this one doesn't, but they'll have like 4 or 6 of these fittings in them inside the pack, so you can get them with the fittings if you know what size fittings you need. But I'm going to wrap up here. Just want to talk about this. I thought it was cool. I thought you guys might like it. I guess we'll see you guys probably after the holidays. I appreciate everybody for watching, tuning in. Subscribe if you're not subscribed already. And come back and hang out with us again. Hit that notification bell and find out when we're putting new content up. And appreciate you guys hanging out. You guys have a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and stay clean, everybody.